Look at the ring. Beautiful, isn't it? But behind this is a story of greed, exploitation, and the struggle for control. Before a diamond reaches a jewelry store, someone has to pull it from the earth. And in South Africa, the search created fortunes, while thousands paid the physical price. It all began with a small boy that found a stone, and suddenly, the world wanted more. This is the story of diamonds. Before the discovery of diamonds put South Africa on the world stage, this was simply a land of flowing rivers, endless grasslands, and small farming communities. Life followed a familiar rhythm. Families worked their farms, cared for their animals, and expected each new day to bring more of the same. But hidden beneath the earth was something they couldn't see coming, an extraordinary fortune that would reshape South Africa's future. Then, on October 13th, 1867, a 15-year-old boy named Erasmus Jacobs wandered along these riverbanks. One stone caught his attention. It sparkled differently. To Erasmus, it was simply beautiful. Family members admired its shine, thinking it was nothing more than an unusual pebble. Soon the stone was no longer a family curiosity. Neighbors began gathering to see it for themselves, each asking the same question: could this little stone be something extraordinary? Then came the moment that changed everything. Experts examined the mysterious stone and confirmed what no one had imagined. It wasn't quartz, it wasn't glass, it was a diamond. The crystal weighed 21.25 carats and would become known as the Eureka Diamond. News of the discovery spread slowly at first, then rapidly across South Africa and beyond. At first it was just one stone, but its discovery unleashed something far bigger. Within a few years, thousands of fortune seekers would descend on these riverbanks. Just when many believed the Eureka Diamond was a remarkable accident. In 1869, a shepherd found an enormous crystal unlike anything South Africa had ever seen. Weighing an incredible 83.5 carats, the stone quickly became famous. It was named the Star of South Africa. This time, the news didn't remain local. Newspapers carried headlines across Europe. South Africa is filled with diamonds. Within months, ordinary lives were being turned upside down. Farmers left their fields, sailors abandoned their ships, young men crossed oceans with little more than hope in their pockets. When they arrived, there was no city waiting for them, no roads, no permanent buildings, just endless tents, dusty ground, and thousands of strangers searching the earth. And then, almost overnight, a chaotic mining camp began taking shape. The land was divided into hundreds of tiny mining claims. Each square belonged to one miner. Every day they dug deeper, convinced that fortune waited just a few feet below. The work was brutal. Individual pits merged into one enormous crater year after year. The earth simply disappeared. You see, everywhere you looked, there was movement. Merchants, gamblers, and fortune hunters crowded every corner, each one hoping to find a diamond and change their life forever. A lucky few struck diamonds worth small fortunes. Some became rich almost overnight. But for every success story, there were hundreds of disappointments. And in 1871, among the thousands of people rushing in, digging for diamonds and chasing their fortune, there was one young Englishman. But he wasn't just looking for diamonds. You see, he wanted something far bigger. He wanted control. His name was Cecil Rhodes. You see, thousands competed against one another, all chasing the same dream. Each shovel of dirt could be the one that changed everything. Unlike most prospectors, Rhodes noticed something others ignored. The miners believed wealth came from finding diamonds. Rhodes believed wealth came from owning mines. It was a simple idea, but it would change history. You see, while others were struggling to survive, he was quietly watching for opportunities. And one by one, he bought their claims until, eventually, the pieces started falling into his hands. Rhodes understood that there was more than one way to beat the competition. Sometimes he negotiated, merged businesses, or bought rival operations. Rhodes wasn't working alone. You see, behind his expansion were powerful financiers supplying the capital he needed to keep growing. That money gave him the ability to acquire competitors. Only one major obstacle remained: Barney Barnato. You see, Barnato was a self-made entrepreneur who had spent years building his own powerful mining empire. Then, in March 1888, the battle finally ended. Rhodes had secured control, competing companies were merged, and a new corporation was born. And just like that, years of fierce competition were giving way to something much more powerful. A single organization with an extraordinary grip on the diamond business. The company was called De Beers Consolidated Mines, named after the De Beer brothers, whose farm once occupied the land. But now he faced a different challenge. You see, diamonds were valuable partly because they were scarce. Flood the market with too many of them, and that scarcity and potentially their value could disappear. He controlled nearly all of Kimberley's diamond mines. You'd think that would be the moment to celebrate. But instead, Rhodes saw a crisis. The mines were producing more diamonds than ever before, but Rhodes understood a simple rule of economics. The more diamonds people could buy, the less each one would be worth. So the more diamonds that flooded the market, the more their rarity would fade. And if that happened, the world's most prized gemstone could end up being treated like an ordinary stone. And that's where the strategy changed. Not every stone would be released onto the market. Some would be held back and placed into storage, carefully kept away from buyers. De Beers learned how to make abundance look like scarcity. You see, enormous quantities of diamonds could remain hidden in storage, carefully kept away from the market, while consumers continued to believe diamonds were incredibly rare. And that perception became just as important as the diamonds themselves. The diamonds were mined in South Africa, but their journey didn't end there. You see, they moved through carefully controlled trading channels, eventually reaching London. As new diamond mines opened beyond South Africa, De Beers didn't always fight them. You see, sometimes the smarter move was to bring them into the system. The company could buy their diamonds and negotiate supply agreements. By the early 20th century, De Beers had become a powerful force in the world's rough diamond trade. But here's the thing, its power didn't come from finding every diamond. It came from controlling the flow. While fortunes were made in distant boardrooms, life inside the mines remained harsh and under constant surveillance to prevent diamond theft. Diamonds were no longer just precious stones. They became symbols of wealth, status, and success, objects that represented far more than their physical beauty. Cecil Rhodes himself believed that economic power and territorial expansion belonged together, and his ambitions reached far beyond Kimberley. Diamonds had helped make him powerful. And then, on March 26, 1902, Cecil Rhodes died from heart failure, following years of serious heart and lung problems. In the 1950s, enormous diamond deposits were discovered in the Soviet Union. For De Beers, the diamond map was getting much bigger. Then came Australia. The discovery of the Argyle diamond deposit revealed one of the world's most significant sources of diamonds. Then Canada emerged as another major diamond producer, and its discovery opened a new chapter. For the first time, a major diamond industry was developing in Canada's remote north. The company that had once controlled the overwhelming majority of the world's rough diamonds gradually lost market share. The monopoly didn't disappear overnight, but the world had changed. You see, new producers were entering the market, new governments were demanding greater control, and new regulations were changing the rules. So if diamonds were no longer so scarce, what were they really worth? It all began with something incredibly small. A young boy walking beside a river in South Africa. A strange stone lying among thousands of ordinary pebbles. Cecil Rhodes understood something that most prospectors didn't. The greatest fortune wasn't necessarily in finding the diamond, it was in controlling the system that brought the diamond to the world. De Beers turned that idea into an empire. You see, for decades, it influenced the supply of diamonds, helped shape their prices, and eventually went beyond the market itself. It helped shape the way the world thought about diamonds, their rarity, their value, and what owning one was supposed to mean. And perhaps that's what makes the history of the diamond so fascinating. The same stone could represent completely different things. To one person, it was wealth. Through decades of advertising, the diamond became much more than a precious stone. You see, it became a symbol of commitment, a proposal, a marriage, a promise that was meant to last forever. So perhaps the real question isn't, how much is a diamond worth? You see, maybe the better question is, how much value have we chosen to give it? Because sometimes, the value of something isn't found only in what it is, but in what we believe it represents. You see, diamonds don't build empires by themselves. People do. Diamonds don't create traditions, and they don't decide what they mean. We do. The stone may come from the earth, but the meaning we give it comes from us. From one stone beside a South African river came a mining revolution, a global empire, a legendary monopoly, and one of the most powerful symbols ever created.